Hey, I'm Rainey. We're at the Crucible lab in lovely near Indianapolis, Indiana. And today we're going to run through sharpening a pair of the improved pattern dividers that we make. So we've gotten a couple of questions and a couple of people have commented the tips arrive unsharpened, and generally there's sort of a trapezoidal shape almost. They may actually be a bit uneven because we finish them by hand and you're expected to sharpen them to your liking on your end, so we don't charge you for putting in extra time to get them down to equal points. But they'll be fairly close and they're very easy to sharpen. You can sharpen them on stones if you like. I like to keep water off of mine because I generally don't use water. And so I use sandpaper on a flat surface. Any surface that is a ground surface, so a granite surface plate is great. Just about any machine table you have in your shop will work absolutely fine, more than flat enough. These are not nearly as sensitive as flattening the back of a plane blade, for instance. So really, if I didn't have one of those things handy, I would stick it to a piece of wood and do it on that, and it wouldn't give me any pause at all. I have PSA-backed sandpaper. This is 3M Stick It. Lee Nielsen sells this stuff, and it's a little expensive, but it's great because it's easy to stick and it comes off easily. If you don't have that, what I recommend is 3M spray adhesive. There's two kinds. There's the super holding power and there's just photo. Use the photo. The super stuff takes way too long. Just spray a light film on the back, stick it to your surface, and you're good. And when you're done, peel it up and use mineral spirits to get it off. With the PSA paper, you really don't have to do anything. So I'm using 320 grit. Really anything from 220 to 600 grit would be fine. You can use wet dry paper. I wouldn't because it tends to load up really quickly, but if you like really shiny, you can do that. You can use oil, you can use any lubricant you want. I'm not going to use anything. So there's four surfaces that you're going to sharpen. You're going to sharpen top and bottom and the left and right sides. There's a curvature on all of these, so what you're going to do is, just for your own purposes, just get used to sort of where the tips lay if you press on the very end. So about 10 to 15 degrees is a good place to end up, and you're going to use rising strokes. Ideally what we would like to do is just work the last inch or so. Also, just if a good sort of rule of thumb is make sure that the head is always off the paper and you'll be starting at a pretty good angle. Okay, so I'm just going to do forward rising strokes just like this, and I'm going to go nice and slow here so you can see it, but the process is really quick. And I'm already taking it down some. In practice, when you've done this a couple times, it's really quick. So we're getting close there. I'm going to start on the sides. So if you look at the top tip, that one's getting pretty close. We'll need a little more work top and bottom. You can see it's getting really close to flat though. The lower tip I've just started on, and so that one still needs more work on the side, and then we'll go to top and bottom on both. Now we'll go back. The idea is to end up, for most people, with a fairly rounded tip, and we can actually do a little round over at the end if you care, although I'm not sure it's needed, but if you're anal retentive like I am, might be worth it. The other thing is, I don't like mine needle sharp. I like them sharp enough to go into wood, but not dead sharp. So this is actually probably in the sharpness zone. So if you look at the tips here, these are getting pretty sharp. I'd be quite happy with this. You can go a little bit further. You actually can get away with a good bit less. But this is a good spot to call it fairly sharp. And what I'm going to do now is just take a burr off the inside face, and then we call it done. So I'm going to open them up so I can get them on the edge. If the surface you're using doesn't have a good edge, you can do this step with just a piece of sandpaper freehand, or frankly you can skip it and be fine. But again, we're professionals here. 1, 2, and that's sharp.